Morning, everybody. It's 8:25 on this Wednesday, the 17th, excuse me, of April. And, you know, not much going on today on the news front. In economic news, we have the mortgage apps up 3.3%, which is, never market moving. We had the futures when I came down at 7:30. The futures were up 105 in the Dow. They then moved to up 83, currently up 53. NASDAQ was up 42, then up 37, currently up 28. And the S&P was up 16, followed by up 13, and currently up about 10. Yields are about unchanged after being sharply higher yesterday. Asia is down, Europe is slightly higher. And I watched an imbecile this morning on CNBC. I don't know where, not so much where they get these people whose names of their companies are their initials. Um, Harkens back personally to me to Donald J. Trump, DJT, which of course has gone from a high of 175 uh, down to yesterday's, let's see, I believe the low was around 22 and a half this morning. It's up 26 cents at 23.10, having made another recent low of 22.33. This is a stock that 3 weeks ago was trading at 80, and in fact traded at 175. So back to the jackass who was talking about the decline of gold versus Bitcoin, how Bitcoin has completely taken over as the store of value. Um, that's a crock of shit. Clearly, what he neglected to say, and the reason that I brought up DJT is because when something new comes out and it catches the imagination, we get a move higher. And that move higher, starting from an extremely low base, looks better than some of the tried and true. Gold is the only commodity that I know in the 50-year history of my being involved that moved higher 12 years in a row. And guess what? It didn't have a move like Bitcoin from a high of about 17,000 in 2007 to 1,017 in 2008. It didn't have a move from 7,700 in September of 18 down to a low of 5,800 3 months later, nor did it have a move from just under 10,000 to just under 7,000 in 2 months. I mean, to listen to some of these jackasses who are paid contributors of CNBC, I mean, it just gives such a warped point of view. Okay, speaking of warped points of view, there was a stock in the last couple of days the symbol of which is WISA. And they keep on printing it as one of the biggest gainers. It's WISA Technologies. It's a semiconductor stock. Problem is that 3 days ago, they reversed it 150 to 1, which makes the high back in 2023 adjusted to $3,435. So this move in the last 2.5 days from $1.66 up to 11 and a half may look like 1,000%, but the destruction of equity in this one, just from 23 on, is 3,400 to 10. If you go back a little further and you see that they also reversed at 1 for 100 in January of 23, that gives us an adjusted high in July of 21 of 60,000. And then you go back just a shade further to 2020 and you see a 1 for 20 reversal, which gives the adjustment, the new adjusted high, to $1,680,000 a share, currently selling at 10. So I'm guessing sometimes you have to do your homework just a little when you see these fantastic moves. Okay, in news today, UAL. The stock is 43 and change. And that is up. Let me just give you the actual number. $44.08 now, with a high of 44.12 last, 44.08 up 258 or 622. The headline says that they beat. Not so much. I don't necessarily consider a loss a beat by 43 cents because it wasn't as bad as everybody thought it might be. So it had a loss, it had declining revenue. So, what do? They guide higher. It's hard to not guide higher when you're losing money. JBHT earnings yesterday after the close. Stock is 169.46. That's down 13 and a half or 7.4%. They missed by 28 cents. This is a major transportation company. Omnicon OMC 93 and a half up 2.5 or 2.8%. They actually beat by 13 cents and reported inline revenues. Interactive Brokers beat by a penny. Only reported revenues in line. The stock is 106, down about $1, 0.8%. So what did they do? Well, they raised the dividend by 150%. Travelers missed by 21 cents. Beats on revenues. Stock is 217, down $6.12 or just under 3%. What do? They increased the dividend. U.S. Bancorp beat by 6 cents, revenues in line, but lowered fiscal year 24 outlook, 39.70, down $1.30 or 3.2. ASML beat by 35 cents. Not sure how that compares because foreign companies don't report the same apples to apples that we do, or the comparisons. They also missed on revenues and guided below consensus. So they beat, but they guided below consensus. Um, and the stock this morning is 924, down 52 and change, or 5.4%. Tapestry's acquisition of Capri is FTC is preparing a lawsuit. So Capri is actually um, lower, while Tapestry is higher. Um, that's about it for stocks. We had the mortgage apps, as I said, up 3.3%. We have crude inventories at 10:30. At 2 o'clock, though, we have the April beige book, and this absolutely can be market moving. And at 4 o'clock, we have the February net long TIC flows. You know, nobody watches this. It comes out when the market is closing, and always gets lost. And it's actually a pretty important stat. The TIC flows are the investment in treasuries and who's buying them and how the demand is holding up, which, you know, in an economy that is has such a big deficit and continues to deficit spend, is kind of important. So we'll see what that looks like later. As far as earnings news after the close today, we have Alcoa, CSX, the railroad. So that'll give you a better comparison to JBHT. Kinder Morgan, Las Vegas Sands, SL Green Realty. These are all companies that have been, pretty much in focus. Another one that I'm interested in, DFS, Discovery Financial. Really want to see about delinquencies and the level of debt. A lot of people don't realize just how extreme interest rates are for consumer debt. First of all, consumer debt is now equal to mortgage debt, which is really unusual and just an absurd number when you consider that mortgages, even if they're old mortgages at 8 and 9%, are nothing when you compare somebody with even $2,000 of credit card debt, and believe me, the numbers are dramatically bigger, or we wouldn't be running ads on TV about getting rid of your debt through, some of these services. People are paying as much as 31% in some states on an APR, annual percentage rate. So you think about it, somebody with even, I don't know, like I said, $2,000 of debt. It's costing them $600 a year to finance that. I think that puts a bit of a dent in the almighty consumer and its ability to spend. So, um, you know, like everything else in these pre opening comments, there's some fact, and then there are some of my opinions. My opinion on this one is pretty clear. Debt is way too high, and it's costing too much to finance. Oil down, heating oil down, gasoline down, nat gas down after yesterday's reversal. Gold down 780 while the silver is up 13 and a half cents. This is a reversal from yesterday when the gold was up during the day. I saw $24 and the silver was still down. Copper was down big yesterday and is coming back a little today. Cotton down, coffee up, sugar down, cocoa higher, not by much. The dollar is basically unchanged, down 1 penny. Bitcoin and Ethereum are basically unchanged, and the bonds, which have broken to the downside, are not down much today, but they're also not rallying. And a look at them on a daily chart shows just how extreme it has become. We went through the bottom of the channel that's been in effect since December of last year, and it doesn't really show much in the way of a rally. Now, we are supported down here at 114. I actually called 113 to 115 the support back when it was still trading at 117 and a half. But it does not look good. And when you look at it on the weekly, you will see that for the last 4 years, all we have are lower highs from the blow off top in March of 2020 at 192, down, lower high, lower high, lower high, new low, lower high, new low, lower highs, new low, lower highs. I don't think you have to be a genius to realize that with the amount of debt that we have and the lack of buyers even down here, this is the 30-year, so it's trading around 5%. The yield curve is still inverted and it's still not attracting massive amounts of buying. So be careful out there, folks. The Dow is now up only 32, so it's gone from up 105 to up 32. The Nasdaq has gone from nothing overwhelming, up 42 to up 37, now up in the low 20s. The 10-year yield 465 and a half. Um, like I said, nat gas and oil are lower. The S&P is now up 14, so that's been pretty steady, up 16, up 13, up 14. So can't be too concerned about that. But in the grand scheme of things, this is a pretty anemic rally for a market that has been moving, two, three, 400 a day to the downside. Be careful out there, folks. I'll be back later.